she did exist. There really was a girl named Monique Daniels.
Are you recording this?
No.
And yet, but for a few of the people who knew her best,
They never reported her missing. They never went lifted a finger to look for her.
you'd never know it.
Do you have anything of Monique's?
Nothing.
Did the 15-year-old run away?
She was seen loading her clothes into a pickup truck.
Does she want to be found?
Everybody wants to know what happened. What happened to Monique?
Or is this the real truth hiding behind the very darkest of family secrets?
I feel like if I just told, maybe Monique would still be here.
It's been almost 2 decades since anyone last saw her. 20 years since the oldest of Chuck and Candace Daniels' 6 children disappeared without a trace.
Oh, G and Nikki are so quiet, aren't they?
But before she became a ghost haunting old home movies, Monique Nikki Daniels was very much a part of her loved ones' lives.
She had tons of friends. Everybody loved her. I can even remember guys in my class crushing on my sister and asking why she was so cute and I wasn't. Things like that.
One of Monique's best friends from school, who was asked to remain anonymous, remembers her as the kind of girl who always seemed to put others first.
She was a great friend. I mean, she would write notes and always try to cheer you up and you know, always very thoughtful and caring and stuff.
The caring girl even had big plans to become a doctor after high school. But Monique was also nursing her own wounds, the kind you can't see, but cut the deepest.
I know that Monique was also really hurting because of the terrible things that had happened already to her as a young girl.
Allegations of abuse too horrific to repeat, all at the hands of the 4 oldest kids' biological father, a now convicted and imprisoned sex offender.
So after this horrible situation with your own father, your mother divorces, you get a new stepdad. Did you think that finally I'm going to get a good, safe, and loving family?
The first time I met Chuck, I remember thinking that finally I'm gonna have a dad that's not gonna hurt me. And I was so happy, and I ran and jumped in his arms and he swung me around. And I felt safe.
But soon after Chuck and Candace married, they had 2 more children. A new family portrait began to develop.
I feel like we looked like a pretty normal family. You know, the kids were well behaved and followed the rules and followed right along, you know, behind our parents anywhere that we went. And I think from the outside looking at it, it looked pretty normal.
Were you?
Not in the least.
Okay.
Both parents were in the military, and according to Angelique, they ran their house like drill sergeants. Not necessarily the best fit for a teenage girl just starting to come into her own.
I mean, she was always grounded. I don't remember a time that she wasn't getting in trouble for something.
Normal adolescent rebellion or something else?
I saw a huge change in her as far as who she was hanging out with and what she was doing, and probably becoming like, you know, partying more.
She was promiscuous.
Yes, and I mean, I think more so than some, and I mean, I hate to say that.
I know she was just crying out for help. She got pregnant, and it was a big thing in our family, and my parents were very upset about it.
According to Angelique, her sister was forced to terminate the pregnancy. Then one day, not long after that, Monique suddenly wasn't there.
She did run away from home. My parents looked for her every single day. I remember the phone would ring and somebody had seen her and they would jump in their vehicle and go try to chase her down.
We knew where she was. She was at a different friend's house, and myself and one other guy called and talked her into going home.
But there would be no family reconciliation. Once back home, tensions were at an all-time high, and it seemed to be Monique against everyone else. Just how Chuck wanted it, depending on who you believe.
He would constantly try to pit me against my sister. We shared a room my entire life, and I was no longer allowed to sleep in my room with her. He made sure to keep us feuding. It was like that with all of us.
Then, just a few weeks before Monique's 16th birthday, Angelique, her oldest brother Brian, and her mom got an opportunity to tour with their church choir.
We were going to be gone for a week. It was that night before, and I was packing and getting things around for the trip. And she came in the bathroom and she said, "I had no idea that you could sing like that. You sounded so beautiful." And I told her to leave me alone. I think I told her to off or something mean. And that was the last thing I said to her. So we went the next morning and we drove, on our trip, and it was a strange week. It rained, and I remember my mom was really quiet.
After the trip, the three returned home to Moore, Oklahoma, back to where nothing would ever be the same.
My stepdad said, "She's gone again." And my mom goes, "Really?" Just like that. And something was off. Something was wrong. The house is in a disarray. Now, we're talking about a spotless environment all the time. There were beer bottles, there were cigarette butts put out on the fireplace mantle. There was an empty pregnancy test, just the box, on the bathroom counter.
But far from being concerned, Angelique says her parents treated Monique's absence like just the next chapter in their gone-again, off-again relationship.
I remember hearing if Monique wanted to be here, she would be.
Angelique says it wasn't long after the disappearance that Monique's parents seemed to be erasing all traces of her from their lives.
We got new family pictures. He took the old picture down from above the fireplace, put it in the attic, and put the new one up.
A picture without Monique.
Yeah. And after he hung the picture, he sat in his chair and he said, "There you go. It's so much better now. Isn't everything just so tranquil?"
As the months wore on, Angelique says they were forbidden to talk about Monique. But outside of the home, the missing girl's Aunt Leslie, Monique's mom's sister, was growing more concerned. She even offered to call in additional resources to help figure out what happened.
She called my mom and was asking for the police report number so that she could get Monique in the national database for missing and exploited children. And my mom said, yeah, I'll get that for you.
But that wasn't exactly true, because what Aunt Leslie and the rest of the family were about to find out was that there was no police report.
What do you think of that?
I don't know what to think.
Is it suspicious?
Yeah, it definitely is suspicious.
Especially to Aunt Leslie. Though it put her at odds with her sister, she decided to take matters into her own hands.
She called us and we started an investigation then and the detective went and contacted Candace at that time.
By then, it had been about 6 months since the girl vanished, a gap in time loved ones feared would make it harder to find her. Then again, was she ever even lost in the first place?
One day, the phone rang. I just said, "Hi, Nikki, how are you?"
Coming up,
She was married and had a baby named Chelsea.
after months of silence, a voice from the abyss.
And she just wanted to drop a line and let Mom know that she was okay.
And an act of God unearthed some deeply buried secrets.
Is there murder here?